What does it mean to be all in? It means you're confident you're doing the right thing. You commit to it. For Dominion Energy, we're all in on helping the environment. We're all in on clean energy, all in on solar, all in on building the nation's largest offshore wind farm. We're even capturing the methane from local farms to create renewable natural gas. We're not doing it because it's the easy thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do. For your family and friends, your neighbors and your community, for the future, for our planet. Dominion Energy. Actions speak louder.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. You are about to listen to an episode of Monster Madness.
Have we not met before, Miss Grosvenor?
No, I don't think so. I don't think one would forget meeting you, Odyssey.
Hello everyone and welcome to Monster Madness. My name is Erica and with me tonight, as always, I have my partner in life and in podcasting, Dan Gwynn.
Hello,
I thought it was going to be me.
Never. You're my brother from another mother, Matt Stein.
Woo woo.
Woo woo. How you guys doing tonight?
I feel like I really cut off Dan's intro there, so I wanted to give him a proper introduction. Dan, the steamy man Gwynn.
Oh, I don't know if I like that one, but hello.
Cheeks for weeks. The steamy man Dan.
Cheeks for weeks.
There's a fly flying around, and I have been drinking for hours. This is going to be a rough one.
It's not going to be that rough. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even in charge of this movie, so you should be real good.
Thankfully.
Speaking of which, tonight we will be talking about 1932's The Mummy. And you guys might not be excited about this, but I am for more than one reason. I'm excited because I had probably only seen this movie maybe once before when I was really small with my dad. And also because we are almost halfway through our first season, which means once we are done the Universal Monster movies, the heavy hitters, we're going to the modern counterpoint. What did we say? Modern counterparts?
Counterparts.
Is that what we're saying?
This is correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
Whatever. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to go from movies that I genuinely kind of enjoyed to movies that are probably not that good.
Yeah, and more movies we grew up with, too.
Yeah, once this season's over, but I'm excited. Do we have any housekeeping? Anything you guys want to plug before we get into this shit show?
I wouldn't call it a shit show, but I feel like you're just heavily hinting at things that I do with my life.
Well, I mean, I don't like to call you out directly, but...
But yes.
But yes.
I guess, I don't know, Fast and the Furious? That's the thing that I do with my life.
That's true. You just came from Fast and the Furious, actually.
But these will come out at very different times.
Very true. Very true. By the time you hear this, they probably will be on like
Number 4, that we're on like a monthly schedule at this point because Matt travels a lot and I
drink a lot.
Yeah. Time travel through beer.
You stay in one spot and drink a lot.
Just shh.
Shush it.
Trying to shush you.
Don't tell anybody. It's supposed to be a secret.
No. My drinking is no secret.
I'm worldly, damn it.
Follow him on Untapped.
Untapped Matt the lifeguard with duties. I almost have 2,000 beers.
That's actually a lot
that's
lower.
Like
1,999. I literally am drinking 1,999 right now.
Oh man,
I feel like you kind of
tonight.
Yeah, I feel like you need to push yourself.
I don't. I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
He ran out.
No, I didn't run out. I only have this and a Truly in here. I'm starting to be concerned about my life decisions.
I wouldn't be. You only drink on days that end with Y.
I'll take Tuesday off.
That's good.
Wednesday I have a charity event, so I'll drink there.
As you should.
Thursday I will go to work, so I'll drink there. And then Friday's the weekend.
All right.
So I'll drink for the entire weekend. Well, let's talk about The Mummy.
All right, The Mummy. So this movie starts out in 1921. There is 2 different time periods in this movie, so pay attention. We're only in 1921 for like 5 minutes, but it's an important part and you need to pay attention. I doubt Matt did.
I actually I didn't know that this took place in 2 different times.
Son of a bitch.
I was changing
I
rum
knew
heads
it.
while I
fucking
did this.
knew it.
So
There's a big time jump.
Yeah, there's a decade time jump, but I'll explain the movie to you.
But the decade time jump makes sense because I feel like I missed something when I watched it.
I had to watch it 3 times, so we're good.
Why? I watched it. I don't even want to get into it.
We'll get to why at the end.
He's very
All right.
detail oriented, and I appreciate that about him. I, on the other hand, don't fucking care.
Well, we have a lot of things going on. A little chaotic. I mean, sometimes
I mean,
I'll watch
detail
it.
oriented is a strong phrase.
It's
but
a nice
whatever.
way to say he's got issues.
I'm not going to argue with that.
I like there's the thinking as the eyes roll to the side.
I'm not going to
calm and
argue with
slow.
it.
We
No,
love
no,
you,
you're fine.
Dan.
Love you guys too.
Aw, it's a moment.
Heart to hearts.
I hope you edit that moment out. I don't need people seeing that I have a heart.
Oh no, I'm going to actually amplify it
Just it gets so much
so it
louder.
blares your ears out. I love you. Because you should tell the people they care about. They care
Throw in
about
a
'em.
little whimper.
Now you have to edit it out.
No, I'm going to leave it in. It was for comedic purposes, but I'm not going to.
You know I can edit it out, right? The file has to go through me first.
Anyway, The Mummy.
Goodbye, horses.
Jesus Christ. We're never going to get through this.
Yeah, we will.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so this movie starts out in Egypt in 1921, and we have 3 guys doing an expedition in, I believe, Thebes. So these guys are trying to find artifacts, because around this time in Egypt, a lot of big things are happening. Major tombs are being found, and all this other stuff. So people are really just in Egypt constantly trying to find stuff. And these guys are no different. So we have Ralph, who is about a 30-year-old man who he's basically a glorified cataloger. He doesn't get to really do much. And then you have Sir Wemple, who I eventually call Big Wemps, but we'll get there.
I like that.
You're welcome. Because we got Big Wemps and Little Wemps in this movie, but we haven't met Little Wemps yet for a while.
When does their mixtape come out?
1922.
Nice.
So, and then we have someone I call Mr. Miller. His name is Miller. I have really no recollection what his first name is, so he's Mr. Miller. The Wemple and Miller are older gentlemen, and they have more experience. They're a lot longer in the tooth. They know what they're talking about. They know what's going on in Egypt. So basically, they've been there for 2 months, and they have been trying to find stuff, and they have had shit luck. They have found maybe like little pieces of stone, some hieroglyphics, a little bit of this, that, and the other, but nothing really significant until today. So basically, they find a sarcophagus and a chest. This sarcophagus is really weird to them because like all these sacred scripts have been scraped off and all this other stuff, and that's a bad sign. If you're buried in Egypt and the sacred text is scraped off your tomb, basically, that's not good because those signs were to protect you in the afterlife, basically, is what I gathered.
So you can't go there?
No, I
Is
guess
that
you're kind of
that's the
stuck in a
assumption?
limbo.
Like, they're trying to make sure that the person doesn't go to the afterlife, that they're stuck in like limbo?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, it seems about right.
I don't know, it's bad signs. They also find this chest, like I said, and they note that the seal on the chest had not been broken at all. It's a golden seal, and it hasn't been touched, and I think they said 3,700 years.
It's a gold chest too, wasn't it?
The whole chest wasn't. Okay, so they also note when they're looking at this mummy, who they figure out his name is Imhotep, that he has no signs of wounds, that like his organs are still in his body. So that indicates to them that he was buried alive, which is also a bad sign, clearly.
Dun dun dun.
I mean, can you imagine?
That would be.
That's my worst nightmare.
That's terrifying.
I'm very
It's a
claustrophobic.
Slow, painful death, and he can't even move. Like if he has an itch.
Yeah, because he's all wrapped in the.
You imagine.
No,
Just
I
a
don't want to
just
imagine.
A nose itch would kill you.
I'd probably bash my head on the. I don't even want to think about it.
You think you're able to move? You think?
Well,
it's
no,
so
he couldn't
tight
even
that
move
You can't even move.
Well, not only that, but he literally is wrapped in the cloth.
Now, when they do that, do they lay you down?
Yeah, they show you in the movie.
Because
We'll get there.
sometimes they put you up. Like sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. So you could be like
What are you
dying to
even
death
saying
standing
right now?
up. You could be dying to death standing up, or you could be dying.
Oh,
to
well,
death
I don't know
laying
how
down.
they discovered him, if he was literally like upwards or laying down, but either way, he wasn't moving at
Painful
all.
death. That's all I gotta say.
Painful death. Well, yeah, for sure.
The fuck is happening?
We're talking about being buried alive, because if you were paying attention in the movie, Imhotep was buried alive.
He was. He complains about it later, too.
I mean, wouldn't you? I just exact my revenge.
I mean, I probably would, but he seemed to be a little too much of a bitch about it.
We'll get there because I don't agree.
Okay.
But, I mean, actually, I probably do agree, but we'll
each
get
their
there.
own.
I don't like to agree with you.
We've covered that.
True. So, Big Wemps and Ralph want to open this chest, but Miller notices on top of the chest, it says basically, whoever opens this chest is going to be fucking cursed. Don't do it.
It says don't open.
Basically, it
And he
basically says
does it anyways.
Yeah, basically in hieroglyphic, it says do not open, and he opens it anyway, which that makes zero sense to me. But he doesn't just open it, only Ralph opens it because Big Wemps and Miller go out to speak about, adult things, and they leave Ralph to catalog by themselves. And naturally, if you leave a child alone with a big red button that says do not push, they're going to slam it as hard as they can, as quickly as they can, which is exactly what happens. Ralph thinks he's smart and cool, and he breaks the seal, he opens up the chest, and he doesn't find any treasures, which I am assuming he thought he was going to find. He finds an ancient scroll that's filled with hieroglyphics.
He goes crazy and starts laughing, too.
Not yet.
Doesn't he?
Give me a minute.
He...
Well, whatever. He opens up the scroll and it's all hieroglyphics, so he decides to start translating it. And as the genius that he is, he begins to say out loud what the translation is. And now behind him is Imhotep. They propped him up against the wall, kind of slanted, but the sarcophagus is open. You can see him all wrapped up, all that jazz, and he's there. So as he's reciting this shit, Imhotep's eyes start to open. His hands start to move, and he starts to walk out of his sarcophagus because, oh yeah, this little ancient text can also bring people back from the dead. So he walks over to Ralph as he goes back to his cataloging, because I guess he was slightly disappointed that there was no gold jewelry or shit in that chest and only just a piece of paper. He notices a hand reached out and grabs the scroll, and he looks over and there's a dead guy very much alive in front of him, and he starts to scream. But then it turns into this crazy, hysterical laughing, which Big Wemps...
Sorry, the Big Wemps gets me every time.
It's fine. He's Big Wemps. That's how I differentiated the two. Big Wemps and Miller hear it. They run in. They see that Imhotep is gone, and Ralph is literally just cackling. And the only thing that they could get out of him was that he must have, referring to Imhotep, he must have gone for a walk. And then it fades to black, and then it jumps 10 years, Matt.
It does what?
Yeah, it jumps.
10 years go by.
Yeah, actually 11 years into the future. Yeah, it's
decade goes by.
It's 1932 now, and they're back in relatively the same excavation area, looking for something, anything, I guess. And it's not Big Wemps there anymore. It's Frank Wemps. Frank Wemple, who I call Little Wemps.
Mini Wemps.
Ooh, I like Mini Wemps better. Either way, Frank is there, and he's talking to his companion, and they kind of actually start talking about the excavation that his father was on, where the guy went crazy due to some sort of robbery. That they kind of play it off as that, because that's the only thing that they can make sense of what happened, that a mummy didn't just walk out of its sarcophagus. It's dead, clearly, for thousands of years. They got robbed, and he just had a mental break. As they're talking, this weird guy walks into their tent, and he's an Egyptian man. He's a little bit older, has some wrinkles in his face, but he's dressed very nicely, and he introduces himself as Ardeth Bey, and says that he found this piece of, I don't know if it's pottery or a stone of some sort, but it has ancient Egyptian writing on it.
A tablet?
No, it wasn't a tablet. It was just a very tiny piece. I would say that big.
So a scroll.
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
I wouldn't even call it a scroll, more of a...
Attachment?
A schmutz.
Sure. I don't know what that means, but sure.
It's like when you got a little gobbledygook on you.
You're just saying a lot of words. Is this the Monster Madness word of the week?
Gobbledygook?
Gobbledygook? Gobbledygook. Hey,
Sure.
got some gobbledygook.
I want the gabagool.
The gabagool. Anyways.
So he gives them this piece, and he says he believes that it belongs to the tomb of Anck-su-namun, which was this princess. And they're all jazzed about it because that would be a big find for them, and that would put their name on the map. But they were kind of confused as to why he was giving it to them. And he was just like, oh, well, Egyptians can't dig up their own ancient artifacts. it's really not cool. So
This was
if I
super
point-
weird to me. The whole that someone else has to open this. We can't.
Well, I literally think it's because of a different reason. I don't think that's like a
He's
true
got like
thing.
a spell or something.
Yeah, I don't think he physically can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Use your brain.
But he's just like, dig over there.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that it's kind of a plot hole.
Not really if you use your brain cells.
Fucking, did you hear Siri just agree with you?
Damn right, Siri.
Just said, I thought so. Bitch is crazy.
I love it. Ardeth Bay basically tells them where to go, and then he disappears. So they go to this site and they start digging. And to dig, it's not like it would be today where we can use heat-seeking technology where we can ping in the ground to see if there's divots or this, that, and the other. They literally have to...
You got a shovel.
They didn't even have a damn shovel. They literally dug with their hands in this movie and had like
shovels back then.
Well, I know they did, but in such a state, this is what I actually even learned in my classes. If you're going to excavate a site like that, you have to basically use your hands.
Like sift the soil?
Yeah, because if you notice, they use like an assembly line where they just literally put like a single rock into each, and then they like basically checked it and then dumped it to make sure it wasn't another artifact. It was a very sensitive materials. It's almost 4,000 years old. You can't just like be like digging and shit.
Yep, could miss something.
Or you can break something. It's not like it's not fragile. But anyway, so eventually they find steps and then they find an entrance that leads into the tomb of Princess Anck-su-namun. And that rhymed and I didn't even try.
It's still sealed. Doesn't he know about that?
Oh yes, it was sealed and nobody had set eyes on this, tomb for 3,700 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So they take all that stuff and they take it to the British Museum at Cairo and they set up a whole exhibit, which is pretty cool. Ardeth Bay, if you hadn't gathered, and I'm going to spoil something for you guys if you didn't catch it right away, and for anybody listening, Ardeth Bay is Imhotep. He cleaned himself up a little bit, and he's trying to find his ex-girlfriend.
He also looks like he spent a lot of time in a tanning bed.
I mean, he is Egyptian. It is very sunny.
I just meant he's leathery looking.
Well, yeah, because
he's got a lot of wrinkles.
Because he's dead.
4,000 years old.
He's got that neckline.
He's a mummy, people.
Feels like bad shoe leather.
Needs some oil.
You look like bad shoe leather.
I moisturize.
Yep, Imhotep should have.
I don't, actually.
I was waiting. I'm like, well, what do you use?
Nothing.
You're like, I use a nice Vichy.
What?
Aloe vera.
Who?
You're making stuff up now.
No, I'm not.
No,
Okay, so they're at the Cairo Museum and they show Ardeth Bay, Imhotep, Ardeth-otep, whatever you want to call him, looking upon the glass case that has Anck-su-namun on it, or in it rather. And he's just staring at her and just admiring her, and he kind of gets lost in time. And eventually, Big Wemps comes in and says, "Hey, dude, the museum's closing, and you got to go." But Ardeth, at some point, he introduces himself, and they realize, like, "Oh, you're the reason why we found like all of this stuff. Like, thank you so much." And he goes to shake his hand, and Ardeth kind of refuses to touch him. Wemble kind of ignores that at first, but then he's like, "Oh, well, let's go talk in my office, or, let me lead you out or whatever." And he goes to like touch his elbow to guide him, like very friendly, wasn't like trying to be like a jerk or anything. But he Ardeth, Imhotep person, flinches away from him because he says it's an Eastern superstition of some sort. But basically he can't be touched because I think his old ass would crumble into dust.
His ass would turn into lunch meat.
Oh.
I don't know about that.
No? Okay. Yeah, I made that up.
Just poof.
Yep.
Dust everywhere.
Love that.
Just dust in the wind.
Like a candle in the wind. Oh,
Yep.
it's a good song. So then next we see Ardeth has kind of somehow stayed in the museum after closing. He waited for everybody to kind of vamos. And he's crouched by Anck-su-namun's display. And he has, it looks like an oil lamp, I'm guessing.
That's correct.
Look at me go. And he has the scroll that he stole. Now, Miller and Big Wemps had no idea that this scroll existed because they never got a chance to see it because Dumbass Ralph was the only one who opened the cursed thing.
Dumbass Ralph.
Dumbass Ralph. Just saying.
Sorry, I thought there was more to that other than just dumbass Ralph.
Oh, I mean, he is a dumbass. When
Come on,
okay,
Ralph,
tell me
no
right now,
way.
if someone said like, "Don't open this," you are going to be cursed.
You'd open it.
Would you open it?
Maybe.
But then you open it and it's just a scroll. There's no treasure inside, and you are now insane.
I'd be fucking pissed.
Pissed. Okay, so while Ardeth Imhotep guy is reading the scroll, he's chanting something. And you can't understand it because it's in ancient Egypt, and I don't understand that. And he's, I believe, trying to resurrect Anck-su-namun, but it doesn't work. What happens is we're flashing to a party that's, I guess, I'm assuming is across town. It's basically like a get-together of all the bougie people in Egypt.
I'm trying to kill this freaking fly.
I've been trying to figure out what he's trying to do.
He's been trying to kill a
It's
fly.
a fucking fly. The cock.
Did
sucker.
you see him earlier? He was just like,
No, he's yeah. No, if you see me like tense up and start looking around, it's because the fly is present.
you just gotta like catch
It's
him.
like, have you ever seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Where when Walter sees the
yep.
fly.
Yep. Spends the entire episode trying to kill the fly in the meth lab.
That's my favorite episode.
This is me.
Okay.
There's that movie coming out too, by the way.
Yep, on the 1st. I'm excited.
This is the first. I thought it was like the 26th, but
Nope,
yeah.
it's the 1st.
Anyways.
Yeah, no. Okay, so we go to a party that's across town. It's like this bougie party. I'm assuming it's to celebrate like the success of the excavation and the exhibit and blah, blah, blah. And you meet this girl, Helen. She's a pretty lady, but she has no interest of being at this party. All that I remember is that she says that she's half Egyptian and she doesn't like being in Cairo. So as Ardeth Bey Otep has been chanting his chant, what I'm gathering is the essence of Anck-su-namun is somehow latched to her, and she is now drawn to go to the museum for some reason. So in the middle of talking and being checked out by Little Wemps, because Frank Wemple has a crush on this girl from afar, and he gets real creepy with her real soon, she goes to the coat check, gets her coat, leaves in a car, and goes right to the museum and basically tries to Night of the Living Dead her way through the door and get in. She's
Doesn't
like,
get anywhere.
yeah, no, because Frank Wemple somehow shows up. At first I thought she took his car.
Doesn't she collapse too?
She does collapse, but somehow he shows up, she collapses, saying she has to get in, and he tries to explain to her that it's closed, and then she kind of passes out. When she awakens, she is in the Wemp Manor of sorts.
She's like, how'd I get here?
The Wemp Penthouse. So we got Sir Wemple, so Big Wemps, Little Wemps, Miller, they're all there, and they hear that she's muttering something, kind of like in and out of her consciousness, and she says the name Imhotep, and that freaks Miller and Big Wemps out because they never told anybody that this guy that they lost 10 years ago, his name was Imhotep. They did not mention this at all.
Like she knows.
So Little Wemp goes back and he's chit-chatting with Helen about the excavation and how he fell in love with the sight of... Get it.
Nah, it's fucking flew away. Sorry.
No, you're good. So Little Wemps is chit-chatting with Helen as Big Wemps and Miller go to his study to discuss the name Imhotep and how freaked out they are. And Little Wemps gets all weird and romancy and a little bit too invasive for my liking to Helen and basically tells her that he fell in love with the sight of the mummy of Anck-su-namun for some reason. Like he just kind of got enamored with her. And then he tries to woo her some more. She kind of makes a comment about making love to him and how she didn't want to, and then he kisses her. I was like, all right. Big Wemp sees this and he gets super pissed because he realizes that something's going down, because he also gets a phone call because while Ardeth Bey was chanting in the museum after hours, a security guard sees him and Ardeth kills him.
Well, we now thinks his son's cursed because he thought she was cursed.
He does. So he's putting a bunch of puzzle pieces together, Big Wemps is, because he's the smartest out of all of them, kind of.
He just believes in the superstitions.
Yeah, that's true. But he realizes that Ardeth Bey might not be who he says he is, and now Helen has something going on. She's cursed, and now because his son loves Helen, he is now cursed.
Does Ardeth Bey stand for something?
Death
Nope.
of Ra. Death by Ra.
Does it really?
Yes, it's an acronym for Death by Ra.
Shit. All right.
Boom.
Death
Hiding
by
in
this
plain
fly.
sight.
I was going to put that as a trivia question, but I was like, there's no way I can come up with another acronym.
I don't like Death by Raw.
Death by Raw.
I know it.
Okay, so
Win back my title.
Miller and Big Wemps take Little Wemps out of the room. They let Helen pass back out. And they try to tell him, like, look, there's some shit going on with her. We think there's some sort of curse going on from 10 years ago. We think it's coming back. We think something bad's going on. There's bad vibes all over this place. So it comes out that Imhotep, they finally confess that Imhotep wasn't stolen, that he just kind of disappeared. Like, they don't believe that he was stolen. They think something really weird happened and all this other stuff.
It's before he got the necklace.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
What does it mean to be all in? It means you're confident you're doing the right thing. You commit to it. For Dominion Energy, we're all in on helping the environment. We're all in on clean energy, all in on solar, all in on building the nation's largest offshore wind farm. We're even capturing the methane from local farms to create renewable natural gas. We're not doing it because it's the easy thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do. For your family and friends, your neighbors and your community, for the future, for our planet. Dominion Energy. Actions speak louder.
So, Imhotep shows up at the Wemp estate out of nowhere. He's just like, yeah, I'm here. I didn't just kill a guard. No, nothing. And Helen's asleep on the couch, and he basically just glares at her until she wakes up.
I thought he was like kind of like mind, like controlling her.
No, I kind of just have a feeling that she felt like someone was watching her sleep, and she was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was looking.
Like, you ever have that feeling that you're being watched?
Mm-hmm.
Every
right
night,
now.
I wake up, you're staring at me. I don't know what to do.
Just glaring.
I'm telling you now, Matt.
No, there's been a couple times in the past week or so where I'd like wake up in the middle of the night and I feel a need to like look at my bedroom door to make sure no one's standing there.
Now, do you sleep with your bedroom door open or closed?
Depends. We have a dog who goes through cycles of sleeping in our room on the floor or sleeping on the couch. Right now we're in a cycle where he sleeps on the couch, so the door is open.
As long as your feet are under the covers and your shoulders are under the covers, you're good.
No, as long as I can get to my gun before they can, I'm good.
Security blanket.
Wait, hold on. Do you have a gun?
I've got multiple guns.
Good to know.
Yeah.
You live in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I used to hunt a lot. I used to
know.
Yeah, I used to hunt goose when I was young with my grandpa.
You seem like such a gentle giant, though.
Now he's a rabbit hunter.
I actually haven't hunted since my grandpa got too old to walk through an alfalfa field.
Oh,
But I
what's
have a shotgun, a rifle, and 2 handguns.
What's an alpha field?
Alfalfa?
Alfalfa.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Alfalfa. Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
Alfalfa?
Yeah.
It's like a
I'm serious.
vegetable.
I'm pretty sure he just thinks it's a piece of hair that sticks up in the back of your head.
Yeah, no, it's alfalfa is, I believe, a sprout.
Oh, God. Here we go. We're going to look up a fucking alfalfa.
Alfalfa.
I hope you just get a picture of a little rascal.
Alfalfa, also called lucerne, and
I've never been hunting.
It's a binomial nomenclature, perennial flowering plant in the legume family.
Ooh, it's a beautiful
It's a
flower.
fucking sprout. It's a goddamn sprout.
Okay.
Sprout. So anyway, this fucking episode.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to edit out anything.
Don't let me drink before we do these.
No, this is
Don't let me
entertaining.
cast and furious before we Monster Madness.
No, I enjoy it. So, basically, schmuck.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're all
sorry.
good. I'm just messing
Yeah,
with
I'm
you.
not sorry at all.
I prefer that than the sound of your keyboard. So she wakes up after Imhotep is, because I'm just going to call him Imhotep for the rest of the time. Ardeth Bay is Imhotep. Imhotep is Ardeth Bay.
Now
Imhotep
you
is
know.
just easier to say.
Secret's out.
When you're watching, it's really easy to understand, but by name, when you're talking, using the names, it gets kind of confusing.
Yeah, so Ardeth Bay is Imhotep. Imhotep is Ardeth Bay. But for the rest of this episode, I'm calling him Imhotep.
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel.
Finkel and Einhorn.
Einhorn is a man. I kissed a man. Sorry.
Lace is out.
I had to.
I love that goddamn movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
So she wakes up and there's like this weird tension in between them. Like you could cut that sexual tension with a butter knife. It was
Smooth.
Yeah, it was. They just stare at each other. I don't think anybody was blinking in that room. They just keep looking at each other and looking at each other.
It got
And
weird.
what happened?
It got weird.
It did get weird. I mean, I can't make eye contact with people for that long. I gotta be honest. When we do this, I kind of like just look at myself more often than I like look at you or Dan. Because
Very seldomly do I even look at either of you, and that is nothing personal. It's fucking weird.
I'm just staring you in the eyes.
That's fine. That makes one of us.
So, in the other room, the guys are super suspect of Imhotep. They're just like, this guy is not who he says he is. He has to have something to do with that mummy that we found. So they come out of the room and they start questioning him about this, that, and the other, and how he knew where the tomb was. But Imhotep is not hiding his weirdness at all. He's not trying to pretend to be Ardeth Bay. He's not trying to be any semblance of human at all. He's just like, yeah, and what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to do anything. He basically just stiff arms him.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, he might as well just wear a sign that says, I'm Imhotep.
Well, he's the mummy. He's like, what was he when he was back in Egypt? Wasn't he like
He was like a high priest.
He was a high priest, so he's got all the spells and everything. What are they going to do? Nothing.
Yeah, they got nothing. But to be honest, in this whole entire movie, you do not really see, like, you see his power, quote unquote, but you don't, like, really see anything significant. But for some reason, they can't touch him.
He's moving statues with the stuff that he was doing, the hands and stuff. And the
Oh,
statues
yeah.
were moving.
Well, that was the gods being all pissed off, but we'll get there.
Oh, okay. I thought he was
So,
doing something.
basically, Imhotep now calls them out for having his scroll, because that's why he came to the house. That's what he reveals. Imhotep's like, look, bitch, I know you have my scroll, because when he got interrupted at the museum, he left his scroll by mistake. He killed the guard, left the scroll. So
Did they try reading it?
Leave the gun, take the cannoli. I always feel accomplished when I make him laugh. What was your question?
Didn't they try reading it? I thought he had like some
I don't
sense,
even-
like, somebody read my scroll. I know exactly.
No,
what it
he
is.
just knew where his scroll was because he just had that inkling, I guess. I
GPS
don't know. I don't recall if they tried to decipher it. I don't even think they had the time. So basically, Imhotep's like, look, you need to give me my scroll. Stop being an asshole. Just give it up. I'm powerful. You cannot touch me. You can't harm me. I can crush you like an ant. And he basically just leaves then without his scroll. I don't know why he didn't just go in and get it. He knew it was there, but he left anyway. But whatever. And he basically gave Helen like a little up down and was just like, I'll be seeing you later.
Give her love eyes.
Basically. Fast forward to Imhotep is in where I guess he lives. And he's looking into this giant bathtub. And it's really dark black water. And he can kind of see into other places through that water. Some sort of magic that he has, he can see it. And he basically gives Big Wemps a heart attack. He crushes his heart with his hand after he sees where his scroll is, because their plan, the Wemps and Miller, was to burn the scroll. But for some reason, I believe there was like some resistance at first to burn it, but...
Doesn't he do like some magic in the reflection pool?
Yeah, he kills Big Wemps. He crushes his heart.
Okay.
But at some point, Miller gives Little Wemps this pendant, kind of similar to Wolfman, how he's given a pendant that will literally save his entire life, and he eventually discards it to a lady that he has a crush on.
I thought the pendant was a statue of a god.
It's some ancient
Like a
Egyptian
protection-
symbol.
like the protection god.
Yeah, I don't know what that god is, but I'm sure you're right. It's like some sort of amulet, and it's for his protection, and he wears it for a time, but then eventually he gives it up, and I'll get there in a minute. But Helen, being the wonderful, brilliant woman that she is, decides to leave the house when they tell her, don't leave the goddamn house. Imhotep is after you. And she goes directly to Imhotep and goes into his house, and he takes them on a little amazing trip back into the past and shows her that she is the essence of Anck-su-namun, that it was his great love, and how he watched her die, and the relationship was a secret. He tried to resurrect her, but he was caught, and then he was eventually buried alive because he shamed the gods, and the scroll that he used was buried along with him, so no one else could ever do what he did by resurrecting the life, because that's against their whole belief system. So he was all sad that Anck-su-namun died, so he decided to spend his eternity and his now new immortal-ish life trying to resurrect her and bring her back. And so far, so good.
I like the Egyptian cat that he had in the room. It was
What, that white cat?
Yeah, it wasn't even like.
Are you telling me you want a cat now?
No, I just thought it was.
No
I thought it
one
was.
wants a
I
cat.
thought it was the wrong type of cat.
Okay, so even I wanted to touch on this real quick. In the flashback to ancient Egyptian, I was actually really shocked, and I wanted to know your guys' opinion on it, of how graphic like some of the scenes were for 1932. Do you guys recall seeing one of the guards during the burial scene of Imhotep? Because the pharaoh at the time ordered all the slaves who buried Imhotep to be murdered by like the guards, and then the guards were to be murdered so that nobody knew where he was buried at all. They legit showed an impalement like through the gut.
I guess, like what you're trying to explain, that was the first time we've actually seen somebody up
I was just kind of
fall over and die
well
within the scene.
No, not even that. I was just surprised, as a year prior when like Dracula and Frankenstein came out, there is no blood. You can't even show puncture wounds on a neck, but now you're showing like a full-blown impalement. I was just curious as what happened in a year.
Maybe the people wanted it.
They wanted the blood.
Or they just said, fuck it. And they said, we're going to push the boundaries.
There you go, maybe.
Up the ante.
So we go back to present day, and he puts like this kind of trance on Helen that everything that she saw, she feels like was a dream, but she feels like super close to Imhotep. Basically, he professes his love to her, and that she needs to cut Little Wemps loose because she can't love two of them at the same time. It's just not going to work. She has to fully love him. So she awakes from this trance. She had actually a dog with her, but the dog did not like Imhotep and he was outside. You hear the dog cry, and then she runs out.
The dog died.
They killed the dog, which was the most fucked up part of the movie, which I did not like.
Yeah, I hate that in any movie.
Yeah, it's just kill the humans. I don't care about them.
Right, they're all useless.
Pretty much. So she heads back to her place, and Little Wemps is there, and she's being really like curt with him. She's being really short, and he's like, where did you go? And she's like, I went for a walk, but don't worry, I had the dog. And he's like, well, where's the fucking dog? And she's like, he's dead. Just FYI. Whatever. And he's like, well, what the hell happened? She's like, I don't know. He's just dead. So
she was seeing the other guy.
What are you talking about?
She was seeing Imhotep.
Yeah, she doesn't really remember that, though. Like, he basically has her in a trance, so she's supposed to break up with Wemple, who she's known for, I'm pretty sure, like 16 hours, and he's already professed all of his love to her as well. I don't know what's so great about this chick, but everybody's into her. So now Helen, it kind of fast forwards a couple days, and she's like super weak. And it has to do with like some sort of magic that Imhotep is placing on her. Like every time she pulls away from him, she gets sicker. So if she gives in to him, she feels great.
It's because she's resisting.
Yeah, she's resisting. So she gets super weak and she's bedridden. So she has like a friend over and a nurse helping her. And once like the friend like tucks her into bed and the nurse is like talking to her, the friend leaves and she basically looks at the nurse and she's like, look, you gotta get me the fuck out of here. Like they're holding me captive. Like I don't want to be with Little Wemps. I need to get out of here. Someone can you help me? And they won't let her and all this other shit.
She was like, say no more, girl.
Like
I got you, boo.
I got you, boo. So Helen is super conflicted. She doesn't know what to do. So Miller, who is the only remaining sane person in this whole storyline, is like, well, fuck it. Let's just use her as bait then. Let her go to Imhotep and we'll use her as bait, which is probably the line of thinking that I would use because if you're going to be fighting some evil spirits, you got to play a little dirty sometimes.
And he's trying to save his son.
Well, no, that guy's dead.
Oh,
Miller is his dad's friend. Little Wemps' dad was crushed. His heart was crushed. So Ardeth is watching all this through his tub, and he's getting real pissed over and over and over again because he's like, this is just taking too long. He's just like, I want my girlfriend back. It's been, almost 4,000 years. He's just a little impatient. So at some point, it's just Little Wemps and Helen in this room, and she goes to sleep. He goes to sleep on the couch outside the room, and this dumbass who was wearing the pendant, the amulet, whatever it is, I was really happy. He was wearing it the whole time. He was following directions. Decided, you know what? To protect her, I'm going to put it on the door handle. As soon as he puts this shit on the door handle, Imhotep is just like, and just starts squeezing his heart and trying to kill him. But it doesn't work. He lives. But Helen is just like, all right, he's down because he like collapses in her doorway. She clearly steps over the body without any regard for Wemps at all and goes to Imhotep. And the next time we see her, she's in this like whole Egyptian garb and stuff like that.
She's like in a trance.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course she's in a trance. But the next time we see her, she's all dressed out in Anck-su-namun's clothes, and Imhotep's happier than a pig in shit, and he basically reveals to her, like, look, for this whole thing to work, for you to fully be my girlfriend, I'm gonna have to kill you. He burns Imhotep's mum, or not, Anck-su-namun's mummy, and then he's like, look, I'm gonna kill you, but I'm gonna bring you back, and we're gonna be immortal together. And she's like, wait, no, that's not what I signed up for with this. And Miller and Little Wemps show up, and they somehow kind of beat him. I actually forget how they beat him. Wait, hold on, let me read.
Punch him in the dick.
That would be a good way.
That would be a great way.
Turns to dust. He's like, no, can't use it.
I just made one note. The knife that he is about to use seems quite dull. That's my note. It was true, though. It was true. Okay, I remember now. I only watched this yesterday. I don't know how I forgot. So the boys arrive, Miller and Little Wemps, at the museum just in time before, Imhotep's about to stab her with an extremely dull knife. And he gets distracted, and Imhotep starts chanting something at the guys to kind of, whatever, hurt them. And Helen kind of tumbles off the platform that she's laying on, and she goes over to this statue of Isis and begs her for like some divine intervention, like give me some sort of memory of Anck-su-namun's to kind of fight this, because I don't want to die for this old sack of shit. Like, I just want to live and be Helen. I don't want to be her. And so she gets some divine powers and starts chanting at Imhotep, and then he turns into a mummy again. And Skeleton
moves its arm.
Does it move its arm? I don't remember
It goes
that.
down like this.
I was too focused on him deteriorating into dust. And then Wemple gets Helen to come back, and, I'm assuming they live happily ever after, like in all fairy tales that involve the undead. Yeah, it's a very convoluted movie. It's a very dry movie. So with that, we conclude The Mummy. That was a hard one for me to narrate and kind of get you all through for many reasons.
Glad it was
tonight.
your problem and not mine.
Yeah, that's what I actually kind of took this one, because I knew that both of you would have just been like, I don't like it, move on.
Here's a nice piece of shit.
But even on the shitty movies, we have fun because we have
each other.
Questions of, if you want to say each other, that's fine.
I'm pretty drunk, so yeah, each other. We have each other.
The three best friends.
No, we have questions of the damned.
You're gonna lose.
You're all going to die down here.
I want to play a game.
It's showtime.
All right, so if you're paying attention at home...
14.
God damn it, will you stop shouting out numbers?
No.
The score... I need to get like a scoreboard to actually put in this room so I remember.
That's a good point, because I don't even remember where we're at.
It's 2-1, Dan.
I was trying to go undefeated. But
if you want to tie it up, you gotta do some work tonight, sir. So maybe you're...
Don't be cheating with that typing. I can hear it.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to secretly type when my keyboard is as loud as your child.
Matt has to play the game with his hands up in the air.
Spirit fingers.
All right, so Matt won last time.
Fuck yes, I did.
So he gets the first question.
This is true.
Bum, 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 bum.
All right. Oh, fucking hell. One of the questions is something that we full on talked about, and I totally didn't realize it.
Oh, shit. But the worst part is that you assume that I was paying attention when you were talking.
No, it's so obvious. So, Matt, you're probably going to get 1 point. Because I have to say it. I have to say it. True or false, Our Death Bay is an anagram for Death by Ra.
Yeah, that's true.
Fuck, I'm sorry.
I remember that one.
That's all right.
But luckily I put more true and false in this one for some reason. Maybe I just knew I was going to forget. So, okay, Daniel.
I get the real question.
True or false? Zeta Johnson, who played Helen, and director Carl Freund loathed each other. True or false?
Which one's Carl?
No, he was the director.
I want to go with true.
You are correct. It's even now, so it's basically like we're starting off on a clean slate.
But I guessed.
Okay, Matthew. Which Egyptian discovery inspired the making of this movie? Ramses II, King Tut, or Valley of the Golden Mummies?
Phone a friend.
Can't do that. This is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Shit.
Hello?
Okay.
Ramses, Tut, Valley of the Golden Mummies.
I thought you said tit. I'll go with Ramses because I have no fucking clue. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Dan, do you want to steal?
Steal.
You could say no, thank you.
He
Do
won't
I get
do
the
that.
point automatically?
No, you don't get the point automatically.
So
You
I
have
have
to,
to like, no, thank you.
you have to answer the question.
It's King Tut.
Is it really?
Yes, it's
That
King
seemed
Tut.
too like obvious.
Well, it was the correct answer.
Fuck me sideways.
All right, Matt, you can get to go again. Which one of these is incorrect? What were the other possible titles of this film? Imhotep, King of the Dead, Rise of the Mummy.
King of the Dead.
Good job. I actually have the wrong one highlighted, but I remembered
Oh,
it.
yeah, you know.
I got really nervous. I'm like, that's not right. That's the fake one I made up. All right, Daniel, last question. I think you both are still tied, so this might be the game winner.
Yeah.
All right. What does the tomb inscription say? Death is only the beginning. Death, eternal punishment for anyone who opens this casket. Death is but the doorway to new life. B.
Second one.
It's correct, and Dan is now 3-1 to Matt.
At no point did I ever say that I was going to be good at trivia.
I never said you would be either, but
The winner circle
Thanks,
is over here.
Hey guys, keep in mind that I record these episodes, so maybe we'd be a little nicer to the guy that does all the work.
I am extremely nice to you. I give you all the help I can get.
I'm not talking about you.
Shoot. Oh,
Well, I can't control him. He is a very sore winner.
You're his
No.
wife. Hit him.
very competitive. That's all. Wait till we have family game night.
I can lift more than you.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting there. What do
No.
I gotta get to?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, no, seriously, how much can you lift?
Which lift?
I don't know. One of them.
She doesn't even know.
I don't know.
I squat 530 pounds. I deadlift at 475. I can bench 335.
And what are your numbers?
I don't have any of those weights in the house.
Just
I just do many reps.
Look, I can hold a gallon of milk and my arm starts shaking, so
yeah, that's
I'm dainty.
When we come out to visit you, we can be gym buddies.
fine. Yeah,
He would love that.
I'll make you look ridiculous. It's cool.
It's true.
I wear my headbands, my armbands.
It would be like Olivia
Ankle
Newton-John up in that shit. Last portion of the show is, do we recommend that you watch this or do we not? I'm kind of right in the middle. If you want to be a completionist and see all the Universal Monster movies, then yes, give it a watch. But I'm on the fence of like, I'll probably never watch this again. So I'm kind of like somewhere in the middle. What about you, Matt?
I 100% agree with what you said. I will never watch this movie again. But if you're really trying to get your bases on all the Universal Monster movies, I would watch it.
There you go. And Daniel.
I would watch the first 5 minutes and turn it off. That's all you need to see.
All right. Oh
You
my
get the
God.
famous scene, of the mummy. Just sit.
I know,
just
that
sitting right
kind of
there,
pissed me
and
off because I was the
That's
only...
kind of all I really need to see. 'Cause that's the only time
only
he's in
time
the
you saw
garment.
him. Yeah, the only time you saw him as the mummy.
So
That's kinda
I thought he
lame.
was going to be like that, at least walking around with the hands or dragging the leg.
Yeah,
He
but
doesn't really do that.
You have studied our ancient arts, and you know that you cannot harm me. You also know that you must return that scroll to me or die. Now tell that weak fool to get that scroll wherever it is and hand it to his Nubian servant.
that's going to do it for this episode of Monster Madness. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to chit-chat with us or give us any type of recommendations, please email us at monstermadnesspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We have a Patreon if you would like to become a donor, and we also have merch on TeePublic if you would like to support the show in that way. Please also, if you get a chance to, and if you feel so obliged to support the show even further, please go over to iTunes and rate and review us. 5 stars would be nice, but if not, whatever. Thanks so much. Dan, Matt, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Anxanaman. My love has lasted longer than the temples of our gods. No man ever suffered as I did for you, but the rest you may not know. Not until you are about to pass through the great night of terror and triumph, until you are ready to face moments of horror for an eternity of love. Until I send back your spirit that has wandered through so many forms and so many ages.
What does it mean to be all in? It means you're confident you're doing the right thing. You commit to it. For Dominion Energy, we're all in on helping the environment. We're all in on clean energy, all in on solar, all in on building the nation's largest offshore wind farm. We're even capturing the methane from local farms to create renewable natural gas. We're not doing it because it's the easy thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do. For your family and friends, your neighbors and your community, for the future, for our planet. Dominion Energy. Actions speak louder.